My name is Kathleen Cahill, and this is my dog Grim. He's an Australian Shepherd, and I'm here to have an appointment with Nancy. She's coming in to bring her dog Joker to obedience class, and she'd like to get some information about our training program and the types of methods we use and any problems she might be encountering with her dog.
All right, go.
Recently, I just got a new dog. He's about 5 months old. He's been doing a lot of chewing and biting on things. So I asked my friend about some trainers.
He's 5 months old, you said?
Yes,
Okay.
5 months old. He's biting. He won't sit, he won't stay there when I tell him to.
5 months is a natural time for the dog to be chewing and to be getting into everything. How do you watch him when you're gone? Do you have him in a crate, or do you have a special place for him to be when you're not there? How do you handle that to keep him safe?
I never leave him with other dogs. I leave him by himself. I grew up with dogs and it was easy back then. But now I'm struggling. So how long will this take? How much is it going to cost?
Well, a dog that age, it's natural for them to chew, and just like you would leave a baby or, say, a 3 or 4-year-old child alone for a while and come home and expect them to have behaved themselves and not gotten into things, we have the same problem with dogs. When they're puppies, if they're not supervised, then they can get themselves into all kinds of trouble, which usually means chewing on things because he is of an age to chew. And it's not something they do on purpose to make you angry. It's something they do just because it's natural. So you need to find a way of keeping him safe when you're not there. So when you come home, the first thing he sees is not an angry person, because then he may not be happy about you coming home, which adds a different problem. I suggest that you perhaps either get a crate for him so he's safe when you're not there. When you're home, you can tie him to your waist, which sounds funny, but when he's with you, he probably doesn't get into things. And it's a good way to keep him, make him understand that you are the one who tells him what to do and where to do it. And when he's tied to you, it keeps him safe and he can't get into anything. And you just walk around and talk to you. But obedience.
I want to enter him in school. But like professional school.
Well, we have a class that lasts 10 weeks, and it costs $90 for the 10 weeks. Included in that is your equipment, which will be a collar and leash, and a 15-foot lunge line, which we do part of our training on. The classes are about 10 to 12 people in a class, and last, we try to keep it to an hour, but sometimes it goes over.
So where would my interpreter stand? Would it be a distraction with them standing beside me? Would it bother you?
I had interpreters in my classes before, and they usually sit to one side and maybe just a tiny bit behind me, so that the class can still see what I do when I demonstrate, but that you can also see them.
My friend said that she saw you teaching signs, like sit, stay, lay, no. Can you use it? Are there already signs set up, or do I have to use your signs that are taught in class?
We can use your own signs, but they have to be signs that we can also use while you're teaching the dog. In other words, some of the signs, for example, sit, which some people use as the sign to sit, you can't do that at the same time you're handling your dog. So you would be, because you need a hand to put on the dog. So we would teach you a different sign to use for sit when you're teaching the sign. But later, if you want to switch, you could do both signs for a while, and then you can go to your own sign. The dogs are adaptable that way.
Do you pay weekly, or is it at one time? Like stay? Does going outside help them learn better? Does it make it easier so that they can bark? If another dog shows up, will they come to me? What would happen?
Okay, well, it's best to have one trainer with your dog. Later, if you want other people to work the dog, if they work the dog in the same way, the dog will listen to them. But it's best to have one trainer because then the dog is learning from one person and not getting confused by people doing it different ways. We start all our work on leash, which means that the dog is never loose. And the best thing is that for a long time after, your dog is not loose. So if he's running around the backyard and you're playing with him, it's a good idea to have even 100 feet of just a light line attached to his collar when you're supervising him, so that if you call him and he decides he doesn't want to come, you have a way of bringing him into you. Because you don't want, otherwise he plays doggy tag, which I'm sure your puppy probably knows very well. And that's not fun because it's very frustrating when your dog just stays just far enough away from you that you can't get your hands on. The best thing is for you, but it's obviously 10 weeks is a long time for somebody to commit and be able to be free for 10 lessons. What we'll do is schedule a makeup lesson for you because the way the program is building blocks. You really can't go to the next lesson until you do the first lesson because the dog needs those skills to learn the next step. So we'll schedule a makeup for you either on a Saturday or an evening that's convenient for you to make up the lesson so that you won't fall behind.
Okay, that's fine. So how do I get him to remember and continue using this behavior?
Well, dog training is just like teaching kids. It's never over. At the end of 10 weeks, you have to continue working your dog because they will forget because it's a new skill. It's like teaching someone to read and never giving them a book. They're going to forget how to do it eventually. So you just, every time you handle your dog, you remember the things you learned in class. For example, if your dog jumps on people when they come in the house, then that's the time to do your sit stay. Put the dog in a sit stay before you open the door. Or if your dog likes to get into the dishwasher when you're loading dishes into it, that's the time to do a down stay. So your dog really doesn't forget the skills if you use them. And if you work with your dog, even doesn't have to be formal training. It's just that when you're working with your dog, if you tell him to do something, you have to make sure he does it. Even if you don't feel like getting up, going across the room and correcting him because he got up, for example, from a stay, you have to do it because you must be consistent if you want to be successful.
All right, you're done.